Hello, beautiful humans of the Eat Simple community. I'm Erin Power. I'm fixing my hair because it's, I've had a couple late nights and I'm home and I'm here with you. I come in here and talk about something that's on my mind. I have a topic today: how to change without changing anything. If you can see this sign over my shoulder, if you're watching this on video, it says, "If nothing changes, nothing changes." I have this hanging in my office behind me on camera because I just want to remind you that if you want to change, you got to change. Obviously, I want to share an anecdote with you that will bring this to light. So I am a nutritionist. I specialize in women's weight loss, and I created a weight loss methodology 15 years ago that helps women who feel stuck lose weight finally without restriction or food tracking. None of that. The feeling stuck piece requires us to change a lot of the when and the what in your relationship with food, because if you feel stuck by dieting, if traditional dieting has left you feeling stuck, then you have to change what you're doing. So if restriction and tracking and following very strict programs has stopped working for you, no matter how many times you try and do it, it's not working, then you have to do something different. If nothing changes, nothing changes. Get ready to hear me say that a lot in this talk. So I created this methodology that helps women lose weight without doing the things they usually do. In order to succeed, you have to change everything about how you engage with food, and to other things too, movement and lifestyle stuff like sleep and stress. But I'm a nutritionist, so I mainly focus on food, and food is the biggest style mover for fat loss. So you got to change the how, the when, and the what of eating. You just do. In order to work with me, you have to go through what kind of amounts to an application process. It's a consultation. It's a very low stakes consultation. I just need to get to know you. Who are you? What are you about? What do you want? Are you going to be a good fit for this program? And quite frankly, I think it would work for anybody, but you have to be in the right frame of mind to want to change. The change I'm going to get you making is actually very easy, very simple, very kind. It's not going to feel hard from a difficulty perspective, but of course, changing anything just is hard. Hard is baked in the cake when you're trying to change. That's just true. So even though my program is very simple, my company's called Eat Simple because I believe in the simplicity of eating, it's going to feel hard because it's different than what you're used to. So you have to be ready to change. So when people get on the phone, by phone I mean Zoom, for these consultations, that's what I'm trying to find out. Are you going to change? Because if you're not, then this isn't going to work. And quite frankly, nothing will until you are ready to change and go through the discomfort of it. Just need you to know I hold space for the fact that change is very hard and uncomfortable, and which is why I work with my clients for 6 months on this, because you're going to labor the process of change. And that's going to take some time. And I'm an infinitely patient human. I'm weirdly patient. And that's my superpower, is while you wrestle with change, I'm going to help hold you to it. But you have to want to change, because if nothing changes, nothing changes. A few months ago, I had one of these consultations with a woman who had a really pretty dysfunctional relationship with food. She was really under eating. She was really over-exercising. She was not overweight. I don't usually work with women who aren't overweight because, well, this is just my anecdata, but thin women are very impatient about changing their relationship with food. I prefer to work with women who have actual weight to lose, because thin women who want to get thinner are not fun to work with, quite honestly. And I'm just putting that out there. I've got 15 years and 3,000 clients under my belt. I think I have a leg to stand on. I'm definitely qualified to have an opinion. It just seems to me that when the stakes aren't high enough, if it doesn't feel important enough, and if the pain isn't great enough, then taking the steps to change is going to feel insurmountable, and you won't want to do it. So somehow this got past me in the application consultation call. I wish I had clocked this sooner, because it turned out it wasn't a good fit, her and I. She was interested in the process of changing her relationship with food. She said, I don't really have a weight loss goal, but I know that the way I'm eating, I just can't really sustain this. And I'd like to eat normally without gaining weight. I had to mention to her, just so you know, after decades of restriction, you might, because there's a downregulation of metabolism. This is why the whole reverse dieting industry exists. I don't do that, by the way. I don't do reverse dieting because reverse dieting involves tracking and counting your food, which I will never do. And you don't have to do that either. But reverse dieting is basically you incrementally increase calories imperceptibly over a long period of time. So your metabolism can re-upregulate, your metabolic rate can re-upregulate without you gaining a bunch of rebound weight. So she was doing way too much cardio. She was barely eating, not eating very nourishing food. This isn't great for an aging woman. It's not great for a woman my age to operate that way. Although she's thin, and we all think that's our goal, is to be thin, that way of being was not going to be great for her. And she knew it. So she wanted to change it, or she thought she did. I'll cut to the chase. After 2 weeks, she said to me, "This isn't working. This doesn't work." After 2 weeks of a 6-month program. "Yeah, this doesn't work." And I said, "Tell me more about that. Why do you think it doesn't work?" And we had the conversation, and what it came down to was she didn't change. She just didn't change. She kept doing everything she was doing. This is the first 2 weeks of the program. I did not expect her to change her whole behavior in 2 weeks. That's why it's a 6-month program. But in 2 weeks, she said, "This isn't working though." We ran through what she had changed. She had changed nothing. So I said, "It seems to me that there's some opportunity here. I understand change is hard. What is the smallest change you could make to get you a little closer to what we're trying to go for here? Let's pick one thing to work on, get you a little closer here." I suggested, why not have a protein dominant breakfast? Break fast epically, which is one of my favorite things to start with people. It is the reason I like the epic breakfast, and please go back and listen to my podcast episode on the epic breakfast. Plus I talk about it all the time. I do get my clients to start with that because it really is low-hanging fruit and it has some pretty compelling quick wins to it. I know we love a quick win. The quick win is you feel nourished. It feels nice to feel nourished. I have women who actually brings a tear to their eye to feel actually nourished, but also it quietens cravings. It diminishes snack behaviors. That helps us to feel successful. So that's why I get a lot of people to start with that. And so because this gal was struggling, I said, why don't you go out and try for the next week, the epic breakfast? Let's put together a plan to make this work for you. Protein dominant breakfast eaten whenever your first hunger of the day shows up, and please eat all the way to satiety. Now for this gal who was a chronic dieter, the eating to satiety part was the hard part. But guess what? That's the hardest part for every woman. It doesn't matter if you're thin or not. Women have never eaten to satiety. We just don't. And so I really love that for you. I want you to experience what it feels like to go all the way to your natural satiety point and actually nourish your body fully. That's all your body's ever wanted from you, honestly. She went out and tried this, came back a week later and said, "I don't like this. It's keto. I don't like keto diets." And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. This isn't a keto diet. No. Look, let's talk about this because this is not a keto diet. So let's talk about why you think it is and how we can put it into a more comfortable sort of macronutrient range for you, because a keto diet is very low carb and my program is not keto at all." Now, a protein dominant breakfast, I guess if we care, would probably be keto macros, but I don't count macros. So I truly don't care. We're not tracking macros, thus keto doesn't exist here because we're not tracking carbs. Oh, by the way, parenthetically, I do love ketones. I love ketosis. I think it's really crucial. It's a metabolic process that we should all be able to tap into. Ketones are a fuel that our body has evolved to use, so we should be able to use them. But I'm not into the keto diet, just so we're clear, okay? But she came back and said to me, the creator of the program, "I don't like your keto diet, lady." And I said, "Oh, there's a misunderstanding here because this is not a keto diet. Let's talk about it." But there was no getting through. She had made a lot of assumptions and was unwilling to change and continued to anchor to the fact that it wasn't working, but she hadn't changed. So the tongue-in-cheek title of this talk is How to Change Without Changing. And I guess the ... is it doesn't work that way. And now this is where I want to bring it around to you and this sign that hangs over my shoulder on calls. If nothing changes, nothing changes. If you want to make a change, you're going to have to change. And change is going to feel hard and you're not going to like it. And none of us does. It would take a very special kind of brain chemistry to enjoy the discomfort. I'm talking like no amygdala in your brain. It's gone. You're born without one. Your brain is trying to protect you. Change and discomfort are biological no-nos. It's like, ooh, scary. Don't forget you're wired for survival. And anytime the environment changes, it's a little yellow flaggish for your survival instincts at the DNA level. Change is biologically hard. It's not just that you're some weak, unwoke, undisciplined lump. Change is biologically hard. It just is. But you have to change if you'd like a change outcome. You have to change the input if you'd like to change the output. And it's hard. Now, this makes the case for working with somebody to help you change, to help you go through the discomfort of change. Some people are good at doing it on their own. I think that's the exception. Some people are very good at sort of self-coaching and saying, this is going to be hard, but I can do hard things. And I will persist through the very difficult early stages until I get my first milestone win. Like we have to move milestone to milestone, go through the discomfort, achieve a milestone. The thing with weight loss, with fat loss, is the milestones are actually a lot less exciting than you think they are. It's not, I was good for a month and I lost 10 pounds. It just doesn't work that way. So not only do we have to change our behaviors, we have to also change our expectations and manage them. What is the actual outcome you're going to get? I always tell my clients, in 6 months, I feel confident getting 2 pant sizes off of you. There's a lot of variables there that we have to factor in, like your compliance. Compliance, as far as I'm concerned, comes down to your willingness to persist through the discomfort of change. Compliance isn't whether you're being naughty or virtuous. It's, can I hang with change when it feels hard? And if you find it difficult to do that, that's not a flaw of your character. That's just biologically true. It just is hard. I would even hope that me articulating this in this way might be helpful enough for you to realize, oh, I do want to achieve the change. Therefore, I'm going to have to make change. And according to what this lady from the internet saying, that change is going to feel really, really hard and I'm going to want to quit. People always want to quit. The gal I spoke with, the anecdote I shared earlier, she just wanted to quit. She wanted to quit more than she wanted to change. Can you change without changing anything? No, you can't. So you're going to have to change. It is going to feel hard. So what resources can you put in place to make it as comfortable as possible? And how can you manage your expectations that it's not going to be that comfortable? And as far as fat loss goes, for permanent sustainable fat loss that doesn't feel miserable, because we've all done miserable crash diets, we're just not doing that anymore. We just don't want to. So we're not doing that anymore. So to have a permanent, sustainable, gentle fat loss, the outcomes are very lagging. The actual outcome of fat loss is a lagging indicator of all this change you make up front. How can you hang with some patience and kindness while you basically wait for the fruits of your labors to show up? By the way, there's just many ways that we do this, right? I don't know, you invest in the stock market, or you start a relationship, or you start a new job. Nothing has an instant gratification. We're not buying winning lottery tickets here. We're going to work, we're earning a paycheck, we're investing it in the stock market, we are getting returns eventually. We've got precedent here. We know how this works. For some reason, we forget when it comes to weight loss. And I think that is because of the crashy language of the dieting industry. I really don't think it's your fault if you have unreasonable expectations about how it's supposed to go. I feel like I have very reasonable expectations. And what I try to help my clients along with is like, let's change your expectations here. And the other thing too is like this idea of like, this is kind of adjacent, but the idea of guaranteed outcomes. I think people really think they deserve this where fat loss is concerned. How can you guarantee it's going to work? You do all kinds of things in your life without any guarantee. You got on an airplane, you got in your car and drove down the freeway with no guarantee you were going to make it to your destination. You do it every day. You buy the lottery ticket, you enter the relationship, you say yes to the wedding proposal. We do all kinds of things without guarantee. You decide to start a family, no guarantee that you can even have children or that they're going to turn out good. Like we do things all the time, big decisions without guarantees. I don't know why we think we need a guarantee here. If you're waiting for the guarantee, if you're like, I'll do the change if I can have a guaranteed outcome, you're going to wait a long time. You're going to waste your whole life waiting. In fact, I don't know about you, but if you're my age, a lot of decades have already been wasted. Could you flip the script? Could you change your expectations about guarantees and the amount of effort it's going to take and what the signs of success are? If you can start to dance around the edges of what it feels like to actually hang with change, you will get change. But you can't have change if you're not willing to change anything. If you could, that'd be amazing. If somebody comes up with a medicine that allows you to change without changing anything, that person wins. That person dwarves Elon Musk in terms of wealth and success. By the way, let's think about it. Is there a medicine in the fat loss space that helps us change without changing? You might be thinking, well, Ozempic, right? I mean, this is, in my opinion, one of the more ridiculous narratives about Ozempic and GLP-1 medications, which is that it's the easy button, that it's cheating and you're taking the easy way out. No, it's not easy. It's miserable. But when you take the medication, it changes the way you engage with food. It just sort of makes it easier to change. To be honest with you, figuring out how to make change feel as easy as possible would be the skill to master. That's something that I really do think I've cracked in my program. It's really foundational to my program. How can we make this change feel really easy? But it's never going to be totally easy, so you still have to be ready to do it. This is a good time to talk about this. As I'm recording this, it's the beginning of May. For us Northern Hemisphere folks, we're coming out of the depths of a winter into the beautiful spring. This is one of the best times of year, early summer kind of vibes. Life calms down because we're kind of through Christmas and holidays and spring break and Easter. And it's like, okay, this is kind of boring for the next few months. There's not much going on. Maybe now I have the mental capacity to tackle the inherent difficulty of change. So what is the simplest little behavior I can put into place and practice feeling change? I go back to what I said. I start with the epic breakfast. In fact, you could all do this starting tomorrow, okay? When you make your breakfast tomorrow, have a savory protein-dominant breakfast and eat all the way to satiety. Just do that. Just do that for the whole month of May or whatever month you're listening to this because, hello, these things are evergreen. They live forever. Tomorrow, start with an epic breakfast and just persist with that one behavior until it feels easy. You'll get some traction with the epic breakfast. For example, your snacking and your cravings will diminish. You'll probably consume, call it 100 to 300 fewer calories a day just by virtue of canceling snacking. After a month, that adds up. You might feel like your pants are looser, which is amazing because that probably wasn't happening for you before. Find one small thing that you can persist with. And this is why, again, I go back. My program is 6 months long because I don't want you to make big moves. I want you to make tiny moves that feel comfortable, the tiniest amount of change you can make that feels manageable until that feels easy. Then we layer on the next thing and do that until it feels easy. Change is hard. Can we make it feel easy? The trade-off is if you're going to make change feel easy, then you have to break it into the tiniest incremental pieces and you have to hang with those changes for a long time. But hey, the time's going to pass anyway. Most women that I know are gaining weight every year, jumping from crash diet to crash diet, just getting a little heavier, fatter every year. What have you got to lose? But here's the deal. You can't change without changing because if nothing changes, nothing changes. Learn to sit with the discomfort of change. On the other side of that is everything you have ever wanted. Nothing's guaranteed, but you're guaranteed to stay stuck where you are if you keep giving up on change when it gets hard because change is always hard.